We're here with head coach John Cooper after a 72-55 loss to Western Michigan. Coach, your thoughts on today's game?
Well, I thought we started off the game with the right mentality early in the game, and obviously Darius got quite a few attempts there early, pretty much most of his attempts. And then, of course, we got in foul trouble. I think we had 4 guys with 2 fouls in the first half. That definitely slowed us down quite a bit, particularly with the guys that had 2 fouls. Took us out of rhythm, but yet and still I think we go down 4 at half, and knowing playing Western that they're going to continue to do what they do and continue to run their offense. And then obviously the second half starts, and you know, we break down early on ball screen coverage. They make us pay. And then, you know, our turnovers, lack of composure. Also, you know, we missed some shots, but offensively, I thought their defense was tougher than our offense, quite frankly. And then, of course, they stretched it, and, you know, we get technicals, you name it, and all those things. And that's not the way you play the game. That's not what you do. And, of course, they continue to execute. And then they, you know, they got to the point where they did make some shots, although if you look at the shooting percentages for the game, neither team burned it up, that's for sure. But they did get 10 more attempts at the rim, and, you know, that can almost be attributed to the 16 turnovers. But our turnovers have really hampered us, and some of them are just so bad and they're unforced that, you know, we just got to do a better job with that. Questions?
Did you have any – what did you tell them after that game in the locker room there?
Well, I mean, obviously I met, and I'll keep some of the stuff that, you know, in the locker room that stays in there. But, you know, I mean, it wasn't acceptable, you know, what happened out there on the court. You know, one of the things is, you know, we've had some games where we haven't played well, but typically we will at least compete and play it out. And we never found a rhythm in the second half, that's for sure. You can attribute some of that to their defense, but certainly I think a great portion of that can be attributed to our lack of execution in the second half. But, you know, I mean, I met with the team. Obviously, it took me a long time to get in here, but, you know, we've got to get it handled. We've got to have better composure. We've got to have better play from numerous areas as far as putting yourselves in a position to be successful.
Coach, they were 2 for 12 on 3-point shots. Of Miami was. They were real good at 6 for 17. But how much, especially with a team like this, they got 6'10", 7-foot guys in there. If you can't make the outside shot, how much do you think that affects the offense as a whole?
Well, I mean, you know, obviously their size when we got it inside, and not just inside, but on drives. I thought their size did affect us, and you know what they do is, you know, they're not going to foul you. They're just going to wall up, jump straight up, and be big and make you score over them. You know, they don't have kids that are necessarily overly athletic and bouncy, but they're big bodies and strong. But, you know, do you have to be able to make some shots? I think you do. I thought they did a terrific job on Jake, but I also thought we had some opportunities. And then, you know, in the second half there, we had quite a few possessions where it was one and done. You know, I thought there were some times when, you know, guys are pressing or whatever you want to call it, but we took some bad shots, some quick ones early. And, you know, and then we were going down to play defense, and of course you're going to play defense for 25 seconds or 20, whatever it may be. But, you know, you look at our shooting over the past couple games, it hadn't been there, and that certainly makes it hard when you don't shoot the ball. I can't remember what we were last game, but we didn't shoot the ball very well either in the last game. And so, you know, when you make shots, it makes it a whole lot easier. I mean, there was a point when they weren't necessarily shooting the ball from 3 well, and then they're late in the game. They hit, I want to say they hit three of them, but, you know, you look at it, you know, they're 6 of 17, so obviously they're right over 33%. But the thing that I saw from them is anytime they caught us or there was a breakdown defensively, the shots they hit were the ones they made you pay for that breakdown.
Michaels is technical. Do you think there's a little bit of frustration starting to seep in there, or was it just like a once in a not lifetime thing, but just an aberration, I guess?
Well, obviously I'm not in his head, so I can't tell you that. But what I do know is no matter who you are or what goes on, you have to maintain your composure. That is what I can tell you. And obviously, I've spoken to Michael and I've spoken to the team, and that'll stay within the walls of the locker room. But I don't condone it, don't accept it. It's not what you do. You know, we're not sitting here with kids that are making $15, $20 million a year. It's still not what you do. But you have to understand who you are and what's going on. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, I've tried and continue to try, and obviously, you know, Michael's young and inexperienced, but one of the things that makes it tough is that in the point guard position, you want to have constant composure. For instance, you look at Wilder tonight, who I think is one of the better players in this league. And I personally think he'll end up being a kid that'll have an opportunity, and whether or not he makes an NBA team in another year. And I don't mean to say that to get his head blown out of proportion or whatever, but he's a good player. But what he is he is consistent. And tonight he had 18 points. He had three assists. He had 3 rebounds. He had no turnovers. He had 1 steal. He was 3 of 8 from the field. He was 11 of 13 from the foul line. But he made all of the right plays, and he ran his team, and he was very composed. And that in itself has an effect on your team, you know. And that's an area of growth that, you know, obviously Michael's got to come to. But, you know, he's not a bad kid at all. I don't, you know. But he's got to grow, you know. Ideally, you like to have an experienced point guard with him. So as he goes through these times and these peaks and these valleys, that, you know, you're not caught out there, and it would really help him, you know. I mean, he's sitting trying to build a house and has never in his life before cut a 2x4. So, I mean, that's what it's akin to. You know, he doesn't have his dad or his some experienced carpenter sitting there taking him through the steps, and that makes it extremely, extremely tough. And Zach can give it to him as much as possible from the side, but it gets to a point where it's a lot different than when you're out there on the court with a kid, and then when you're giving it to him from the side, particularly when you're in game-like situations, because Michael would really benefit from being out on the court with a guy like Zach or another point guard that has experience to take him through how it should be done. Sorry about the long answer. Go ahead. Bake? Oh, no bake today?
Well, I was going to ask you.
Go ahead, bake.
Second half.
Okay.
Actually, in the first half, you had success inside until you got foul trouble.
Right.
Came out in the second half, seemed to settle for the jump shot. I know that's not in the game plan.
Right.
But I think in the second half, you had the bigs in there, but just didn't move the ball.
Well, right. And, you know, and one, you know, when we got it in there, we didn't get it in there enough. I thought guys started pressing too. You know, when they made their run, they were pressing it. And I think part of it too is the way that Western settles the game on their end offensively. You know, you're gonna have to defend. It's, you know, they're not gonna get out of sync, out of composure to where you get a few opportunities. You may get a few, but you end up being able to get some steals and get on the break. What they had 9 turnovers tonight, 10-9, and we're 8 of 16 on the road. But I mean, I thought you're exactly right. And then too, you know, it says we had 8 offensive rebounds. I don't remember many of them. I remember Marcus. Yeah, exactly. But you know, not the kind of rebounds where you get the rebound and you're able to put it back up and score. Conversely, you look at their boards, I mean, there's a couple times they get offensive rebound, they go back up and score, they go back up and get fouled. I also thought that was it too. But, you know, we had a hard time with their bigs when we did get it. We really did, as far as moving them, getting to position, and then being able to score over them, you know, even late in the game. Logan, you know, when he gets to the middle, tries to shoot over, I think gets sort of blocked. I mean, their size, their girth, those two kids, it bothered us. I mean, it really didn't. And obviously Darius doesn't have that size, so Darius is more, you know, big body and space eater and everything else. But, you know, certainly a learning experience for him going against that size. And I thought their guys did a good job of just walling up. You know, and part of that, too, speaks to their athleticism. I don't think those two are great athletes, but, boy, do they know who they are. And that's what it's about. I mean, athleticism and all those things is overrated. You know, the question is do you know who you are and what your capabilities are and what your, you know, your liabilities, you know, what are your limits? And when you can play to that, you know, then, you know, that certainly helps you. But, you know, was it hard? And then there's some times, you know, poor post feeds, ball getting stolen, post feed, and they're sort of playing in the middle, you know, on the post feeds because when you're not knocking down shots, you know, you sort of play in the middle, hop out, and they have good size. They have good size on the wing to be able to do that. Two is to sit in the middle, play the pass, and if you raise up to shoot, challenge it. But, you know, I don't know how worried they were about our shooting. I think they were worried about Jake, obviously, because they stayed glued to him. And I think in many ways they, in their mind, thought, you know, I don't think the other guys can make enough. Yeah, can the other guys make enough if it's not Jake making shots? So.
All set? All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.